Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, February 26, 2023, and you are watching the Wrestling Republic daily broadcast. And today it's a little bit of a special episode as we're going to be going through 8 of what we believe are the best AEW Revolution matches from the few-year history of the show. And we're going to be ranking them. We're going to be doing a bracket ranking. And yeah, so today for this special broadcast, I am joined by, firstly, to the right of me, we have Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
Doing pretty good. I thought we're inching close to Revolution. I was like, this is something we can end up doing. We didn't have too much news related. I was like, this could be a fun thing to do. We got some guys. We got a difference of opinions. Me and Ben kind of on the same side. We got Soul and Chaos. Chaos might be in the middle of us, of the sides. Who knows? But we'll find out. This could be fun. Should be fun. At the end of the day, I'm ready to have some fun.
And below me, we have AEW's biggest supporter, Soul. How are you, Soul?
Good as always, my friend. It is me and Chaos versus Allison and Coby. I like to call the WWE Appreciation Society. You do you, lads. We're here ranking the best matches of Revolution. Revolution is a very special pay-per-view for me. First pay-per-view I saw live, traveling over from Orlando in last year, represent. Got all the Revolution merch, apparently. You know, the latest Hangman and Bucks poster from Shop AEW. Check them out. As well as the signed one I got from the event as well, with such people as MJF. No, not MJF, actually. You know, Punk, Bucks. So I love Revolution. I cannot wait to rank these matches. It's going to be very divisive, I feel.
Yeah, I think it could well be. And also joining me today, all the way from Take It to the Table, we have Chaos. How are you, Chaos?
Yes. I like how I'm being told I'm meant to be the middleman, or because like Soul looks like he's been sponsored by AEW, probably being paid off like he's a shill. And yeah, everyone's gonna, but yeah, I think this is gonna be very interesting. Like you said, very divisive tonight regarding the matches, but I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, it's all about the quality. So let's all get into it.
Why'd you say that, Chaos? I'm gonna call Tony now and cancel your Ring of Honor ticket.
I freaking knew it.
You got TK on speed dial. TK's paying you off, Soul.
I have no doubt.
What else is new?
That's
We knew that already.
But let's get right. Oh, never mind this one. Let's get right into it with the first match of the bracket.
Hang on. Let me get on my protection because I know you guys are gonna send some shit stuff. There we go.
This is all about AEW.
I wear my
Walking out your opinions now. You may proceed, boss man. The protection is on.
Right. Okay. So the first matchup between these two matches are, firstly, we have MJF and Cody, which of course we all know at the time was a storyline which was developed over months and was a great storyline. Now the match itself, some people said it didn't quite live up to the hype. But yeah, opposing it, we have from last year's show, Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. A match which was absolutely brutal and, of course, created the Blackpool Combat Club. Well, was the starting for it somewhat, with Regal coming out after it. But yeah, so between these two matches, what are your thoughts, Sol?
This is a very interesting. Let me start with MJF and Cody. MJF and Cody, I'm in the camp that it didn't live up to the hype. There was a lot of good storyline potential with this. The whole thing of, best friend turned betrayer at Full Gear and then going to Revolution. It was such heated rivalry. And I don't know, I didn't feel like it hit the strides it could have. I feel like this match could have done with something more. I don't know what it was. There's something from it that you watch it back, and then when you get to the end, you're like, it's the conclusion I figured, yes, but there's something missing, some kind of ignition to blow this keg open and go the whole wide 9 yards of it. Still a good match, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there's maybe more that can be done with it. Now, to Moxley and Danielson. Bias is coming through, yes, I was there live for this match, and it was brutal. I mean, the whole storyline of it going, it was like, Brian was like, I won't appreciate you until we bleed in the ring together, and that's what they did. And just seeing it in live was so brutal. Like, when they had their themes come out and both men were standing in the ring, you felt the tension, the suspense in that arena. I mean, I was looking at guys and girls left and right, and they were all just like, who's going to lay the first punch? And then they go at it. craziness unfolding, brutal, utter chaos. And even the finish as well, like people were always been like, "Oh, what happened there? Was that a botch? Was something going on?" But no, it was. You look at the camera now, replay the feed on Fight, you see what happened, and you're like, "That's fully understandable." They still go at it afterwards. After Moxley wins, and then you see William Regal come down the ramp. Everyone loses the collective shit, and it just goes into the formation of the Blackpool Combat Club, a faction I do admire, and just a true and utter brutal match between two of honestly the greatest stars of the industry right now. I mean, shall I give my pick right now? You want to wait till the end, Allison, boss man?
Yeah, give your pick.
My pick for the best match of two is Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley at Revolution 2022.
Wow. So the first vote goes to Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley from the 2022 Revolution. But I'll head to you next, Chaos. What were your thoughts? Which match did you prefer?
Well, it's pretty much cut and dry, really. I mean, going regarding MJF and Cody, I honestly don't remember anything from the match itself. The only memorable thing, as good as it probably was at the time, the only memorable thing I remember was MJF low blowing Cody Rhodes. And then obviously officially leaving the Nightmare family. But yeah, I do remember feeling underwhelmed in terms of the match quality at the time. So maybe it's because Danielson and Moxley is more fresher on my head, but I just feel like the build up to that was more satisfying, and the match quality itself was also good as well. Like Soul said, it was brutal. They didn't hold no punches back. It was a great showing on both parties, and then of course the icing on the cake, you saw the debut of William Regal, and that was an awesome surprise. So yeah, without hesitation, this one definitely goes to Jon Moxley and Danielson.
So we got 2 votes currently for Moxley Danielson. So Coby Galenzoski, what were your thoughts, and which match are you voting for?
So I think that's something that was said by Soul that I really like, is they're both going to be remembered for 2 different reasons. Cody and MJF was one of the first actual big storylines of the company, if you want to say it that way. It was a Cody Rhodes guy versus Cody Rhodes, and at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes had such an important role in the company, and MJF was going to be 100% projected as the future at the time, and now he is the present, if you want to call it that. At the end of the day, I feel so different about these matches. At the time, I know I didn't see it in full, the Cody Rhodes and MJF match, but I think it did its job better. Last year, I saw it. To me, the crowd did not come across as invested. The crowd was almost as one of the deadest points of the night. And then what followed was that just car crash. I think it was an 8-man tag with Darby, Sting, and the Hardy family office and all that. I think Danielson and Mox is going to be remembered because of the moment after, because of Regal debuting and Regal kind of aligning them or getting them on the same page as you two are cut from the same cloth. At the end of the day, I think Cody Rhodes and MJF did more for the company as it continued to build MJF as one of the top stars. My vote does go to MJF Cody.
Wow, okay, so a disagreement now for the first time in this so far. So it seems that I've got, I guess, the deciding vote, although I don't really know what we do. It went to a draw, but yeah, when me and Coby were discussing last night which 8 matches to put in here, I said then that I really did believe that Danielson and Moxley fought for that match to be added to the 8 matches. And yeah, I do believe that for me, that was the better match. It was a brutal match. I do agree with Coby that the crowd wasn't as lively for that match. At least that's what it came across on pay-per-view compared to a lot of the others. But I still thought it was a brutal match, and I really did enjoy it. And I remember vividly enjoying it at the time. So that is where my vote is going to be. So it looks like Moxley versus Danielson from 2022 is going to progress to the next round. But yeah, let's head into the next match now. We have got Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho from Revolution 2022 versus another match from 2022, CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match. And wow, I mean, these are two matches which, I mean, at the time, if I'm being completely honest here, I didn't think Kingston versus Jericho was going to be very good. I had no expectations for it. And it blew my socks off. It really, really did pleasantly surprise me. However, at the end of the day, MJF versus Punk, that storyline and all of it, I mean, we often talk about the fact that there's too much blood on AEW television, especially with Jon Moxley. But the blood in that match between MJF and CM Punk was perfect. It really added to it. And yeah, for me, CM Punk versus MJF is where my vote goes. What did you think about it also?
Oh God, I mean, so let's go Eddie Kingston and Jericho first. I think that was the best kind of match they could have done to open the show. You know, Eddie's over with the crowd. When I was there, everyone was just chanting Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. Jericho coming out, everyone was singing Fozzy and Judas, having a good old time. Beers were up in the air and all the good old fun. Then the match got away. Everyone was still into it. You know, was just saying, "Fuck him up, Eddie. Fuck him up." Just chanting. You know, Aubrey was there in the crowd. No, sorry, Audrey was in the ring as well. And everyone was loving Aubrey. You know, when Jericho shoved her and then she shoved back, and it was all fun. And even the ending as well. You know, this whole match for Revolution was built up on, you know, Eddie wanting respect and a handshake from Jericho. And he didn't get that. And that's kind of when Jericho kind of turned heel, and, you know, it would lead into the JAS and Eddie joining the Blackpool Combat Club for a wee bit on the Blood and Guts thing. But MJF versus Punk, I mean, holy shit. That match, I mean, I could go on about my whole feelings and experience of that match on for 2 daily broadcasts. Easy. So we're going to talk about this match a lot, I feel like, during this whole bracket. So I'll keep it really short and just say this one, Punk versus MJF. Easy.
Fair enough. So that is 2 votes now. What do you think about it all, Coby?
Once again, I don't want to say I'm gonna go against the grain, but I think the whole rivalry of CM Punk and MJF was very good. I think it's one of the top rivalries in AEW as a company, all that. To me, the matches almost didn't live up to the hype. The dog collar was good. There were some moments where it was like I don't know if there was the talking on the mic, it wasn't as effective. Yes, the atmosphere was there because of MJF coming out, or not MJF, CM Punk coming out to his Ring of Honor theme. At the end of the day, I wasn't a fan. I didn't know that was his Ring of Honor theme. That was another not description, but that was a big issue with the way they treated that as well. I think it was a more underwhelming match. I think Eddie Kingston and Jericho 100% blew more expectations, and Eddie Kingston getting that victory and getting that moment of this is his first pay-per-view win. The crowd was electric. Jericho was officially back because he really had a year off where he was not in the best shape. He wasn't as good as he should have been. To me, the better match is Eddie Kingston Jericho.
Wow, okay, so you disagreeing again, leaving the deciding vote to Chaos. But I mean, in fairness, with the CM Punk theme, right, I will say this. They did state it was his old theme. So I didn't have too much of an issue with that in terms of they did state that's what it was. But if they didn't, then yeah, I'd understand it. But Chaos, where does your vote, lie? And what's going to be going forward to the next round, basically?
Well, this is gonna be fairly easy, but in this one I'm gonna also cheat. The reason how I deciphered this and come to my final conclusion. So obviously CM Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. So with that, because one of them was the defining end to a feud, I'm gonna include it for the same with Jericho and Eddie Kingston. And whilst that, the most memorable things I remember from that from their feud was mainly the promos. This first match, great. It blew it went above expectations, of course, did good. But then obviously later down the line, as we all know, it kind of it dwindled down in quality, and in some cases went a bit too long, especially when it became them two. And it really had a very underwhelming end. Now with CM Punk and MJF, one of the feuds of the year, if not the feud of that year. And you know, it was the defining end to that feud. You know, put another personal you know, give someone else a shine as well in Wardlow. Yeah, it was just like it was a perfect story match, because you know CM Punk is not really known for his moves and stuff. He's known to tell a story in his match, and I felt that this definitely did that more than the whole feud of Jericho and Kingston ever could. So yeah, basically, yeah, I'll instantly CM Punk versus MJF.
Nice. So there we are. Punk and MJF and Revolution 2022 progresses to the next round. Now, what is the next match? Let's head over to the other side of the bracket now, should we?
Yeah, no, it actually does each side first. So.
Okay,
That's just
cool.
the side.
So there we are. Moxley versus Bryan Danielson from 2022, or Punk versus MJF from 2022. This time, I'll head to you, Coby, first.
I mean, obviously, this is a lose-lose situation. I'm kidding. These are both matches I didn't vote for. And, it's ironic. I'm going first. At the end of the day, Moxley and Bryan was not a good match for me. I don't think it was that good. I'll drink it in. At the end of the day, I thought that match was so underwhelming. As much as Punk and MJF was good for the story and good for building MJF, and not just like I really like the point Chaos said is like it that rivalry did more for MJF than Eddie Kingston and Jericho did more for Eddie Kingston, and that is almost a theme for Jericho feuds. I'm not going to go into it. Ricky Starks beat him the first night, and they're still continuing it, as well as the MJF and Jericho rivalry. It's a lot of it is weird. Punk and MJF really got back into the whole swing of things of like MJF is this good and belongs in this spotlight. If I have to go between these two, it has to be Punk MJF.
Nice. So Punk versus MJF gets the first vote. But what do you think, Chaos? Where does your vote lie?
All right. So now this is when where it gets tricky. So yeah, in terms of an overall story arc, it's still gonna be, for my opinion, CM Punk versus MJF. It was perfectly paced, perfectly written. And the thing with Danielson and Moxley, while it was decently paced, I think the best moment of it was definitely when that was obviously at the ending, as Coby said. So yeah, in terms of storyline, pacing, and the match quality, I'm gonna swing. It's gonna CM Punk and MJF gets my vote.
There we are then. I mean, it's basically all but confirmed. But Soul, you were live in the building. Do you disagree, or would you say that perhaps Danielson versus Moxley was better than Punk versus MJF?
I mean, this is hard. Ooh, this is really hard because I love both matches, man. You know, not only just getting to see these guys in person, but just the investment I could feel in the arena for both. You know, I remember you going up to the arena and people were chanting CM Punk. I remember going into the arena and people were doing the yes chants. So it's like the whole crowd were definitely up there for these guys. You know, if you were to go there and poll, maybe people would say these are the two matches they were hyped for the most, even more above the world title match. But to think to the nitty gritty, me personally, I gotta go with Punk and MJF because just the whole build up watching on Dynamite, and then to get MJF taunting us with cult personality, Punk coming out to Misery Cantara, his whole Ring of Honor shtick as well, the gear called the Second City Saint, MJF running off, taking the microphone and swearing at people, that was glorious. And the whole thumbtack spot, and then Wardlow coming down with the diamond ring, Punk then whipping the chain around and then mimicking going for the title belt. while MJF and Moxley was definitely a hard-hitting match and one I do recommend people watch, ignore Coby, just ignore him. But yeah, I Punk and MJF was just something on a whole nother level. I got to give my vote to that guy.
It's a clean sweep because I completely agree as well. I know, obviously, some people said that Punk versus MJF wasn't. I mean, a lot of people thought it would be better. A lot of the internet did say stuff like that. They thought it would have been a better match, whatever. But the story was perfect, and Chaos briefly touched upon it. CM Punk isn't somebody who really goes out there and has necessarily, a 5-star match in terms of wrestling moves. He doesn't really. But the story was absolutely phenomenal. And like Saul touched upon, he came out, he went back to his ROH days because he knew he had to be that focused. He couldn't let the entire, entertainment side of him get caught up. He had to focus on the wrestling in order to make sure that MJF could not get the victory. And the storytelling, like I said previously, the blood was used fantastically. And yet, from a storyline perspective, I thought that match ruled. So there we are. It is 4 votes, all to MJF versus CM Punk. So now let's move over to the other side of the bracket. And yeah, let's firstly, this is going to be a good one, guys.
God.
The Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman Page, or Hangman Page versus Adam Cole. Of course, Hangman Page versus Adam Cole was from last year's pay-per-view, whereas Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman was from 2020's show. And a lot of people would say that was the first amazing match which AEW even had. But Saul, where does your vote lie on this one? Which match did you find better?
So I'm going to give a little story, okay? So this goes to 2020, This was sort of when I was kind of getting into wrestling in 2019 while in university and mostly watching WWE at that point, By that time, it was, Bobby Lashley and Lana were hitting the scene and Roman Reigns was fighting Baron Corbin with the whole canned dog food shtick. So I wanted something different.
Awesome storytelling.
Yes, of course it was. It was, Oscar worthy. Scorsese couldn't know better himself. But Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks was the first AEW match I ever saw. I remember seeing it on YouTube, and I watched it, and I was blown away, and that's when I fully got into AEW. So while, yes, I was there for Hangman and Cole, that was something in itself. Cole coming out the Halo gear, Hangman, my champion, still my favorite AEW World Champion. I love the guy. He's awesome. And seeing them was great. But I got to give my vote to Hangman Kenny versus the Bucks at Revolution 2020. Hell of a match.
It absolutely was. Now, what about you, Coby? Which match did you prefer? And I know you weren't super into AEW at the start of the company, but which of these 2 matches will you go for?
So that's the thing is I 100%. I 100% disagree. I was watching it on I don't want to say a more regular basis, but I went to a local event the night of Revolution 2020. It's funny. I remember I looking on my phone. I see the news. Oh, Blood and Guts. I didn't like it, of course, because it's called Blood and Guts. But at the end of the day, Hangman and Adam Page had a lot to follow. Hangman, Adam Page, and Adam Cole had a lot to follow. It was an extremely long and drawn-out show. It was one of the first shows where they really just said, what is it, 10? What was it? It was over 10 matches, I'm pretty sure. And as much as I commend them for getting the crowd back into it, because they did, because the last 2 matches, aside from the car crash, like I said, the crowd didn't come across as that hot for Brian Mox. At the end of the day, the crowd were back for this, although the build was for Hangman and Adam Cole. Yes, Hangman and Adam Cole. I'm going to continue to say a tongue twister. Thank you, JR, for put that memory in my mind of why would we have 2 Adams. At the end of the day, I don't think it was a match that was reminiscent of his NXT days, where you're going to you got the near falls, you got a lot of the false finishes. And I mean, you can believe it. You can think of it either way. At the end of the day, I do got to go with Omega Hangman versus the Bucks. as the better match.
Absolutely, and truthfully, I 100% agree with you, Coby, there as well. The issue I had with Hangman versus Adam Cole, the battle of the two Adams, was that there were just too many kickouts. And I would say Mr. Hyde with some of the NXT matches back in the day as well. But yeah, the tag team match, Young Bucks versus Hangman and Omega, that was just perfect. It was the first AEW match where I was like, damn. And those were my complaints to the early days of AEW, right? I came into it, and for some reason, I just thought there'd be. I was a bit naive. I thought they'd be following from, Omega's New Japan days. I thought he was going to have 5-star matches left, right, and center in AEW, but he just didn't. His matches didn't really translate well with the American style. They didn't really. And this was his Omega's first match back, first match in AEW, where I was like, well, if you include Guest and Moxley, one could be argued. But that was lights out. He had a stipulation, whatever. This was the first Omega wrestling match, which I was like, damn, 5 stars, easy. This is the Omega that I loved in Japan. And this match, truly, start to finish, the storytelling was superb. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. So that's where my vote goes to. But Chaos, where do you vote?
For me, I have just more vivid memories of one of these matches more than the other, and yeah, it would have to go to Hangman Page and Omega versus the Young Bucks. This was, like you said, most people say this was probably the first 5-star match in AEW. I wholly agree. In terms of, and to correction, Coby, there was actually 11 matches, 2 of them being on the pre-show. So yeah, it was quite stuffed. And this match was the longest, 30 minutes, but it did not feel like 30 minutes. It was that intense. Everyone was so invested. I was invested. Really revitalized the crowd, like you said. It just translated well, and the chemistry with all them four was awesome. Made me really get behind Omega and Page as a team. And I have no complaints. So yeah, if I had to really choose, it would my pick would be definitely Omega and Page versus the Young Bucks. Also Ignacio's favorite team ever, the Young Bucks as well.
Oh gosh, he actually Ignacio wanted to come on the show today, but unfortunately we were fully booked. But hopefully next weekend he'll be back.
He will go on a 30-minute rant about why they shouldn't win it, but
I think he just refused to vote anyway as well.
Oh, he wouldn't have voted on any of it. Except for maybe Punk and MJF.
That probably is true. But what about the next match then, Coby? What's up next? So up next, we have Red Dragon versus the Jungle Express. With Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Young Bucks from last year's show, the triple threat tag team match. And damn, that was a fun match. But talking about fun matches, from the first Revolution, Pac versus Orange Cassidy. And I'd seen a lot of Orange Cassidy during his GCW days. And I was not happy when AEW signed him, because back in his GCW days, people would sell those like light kicks he did and all that. It was just a joke. It worked. Like, I'm going to be honest, unlike, indie shows and stuff, it works. It's just funny or whatever. But I did not want that to be an AEW. It was meant to be a sports, like product. So I was not looking forward to this match at all. But this when Orange Cassidy arrived in AEW, he made some changes. Yes, he still did those kicks. But the kicks, when he did them, were to get in the opponent's head. The opponent wouldn't sell them. And yeah, him and Pac, the dynamic between them, they pulled it off perfectly. But Soul, which of these two matches did you prefer? And where's your vote going to go?
Well, a lot of bias for this one, because not only I was there, but just having Bobby Fish on the recent episode of the Soul Sessions, wink, wink. It's a hard one to say. Let's go with Orange Cassidy and Pac first. Let's talk about that. The whole thing built about it was Pac was like, "You're not a wrestler. You're just some comedic man here in our kingdom." And OC was just like, "Bet, let's do it." And I think even that match is like one of the most popular clips on AEW's YouTube channel. It's got like nearly 50 million views, because that's like how a lot of people on the casual scenes got introduced to Orange Cassidy because people were like, yo, check out this wrestler. He's just a guy in denims and aviators and he puts his hands in his pockets. And it was shared like mad. Everyone was watching this thing. And it was really like, it was even his first singles match as well for Orange Cassidy. He'd done tag matches and trio stuff with the Best Friends, but this was his first time that AEW audience and, you know, most wrestling fans in general got to see him single match on a pay-per-view against Pac, who's a hell of a guy in himself. And Orange Cassidy would do rolls out the way, do his kicks. And the spot I remember the most is, you know, Orange Cassidy was rolling from one side of the ring to another. Pac was just like, oh, cheer guy. Boots up, tope suicidas right through the goddamn ropes onto Pac, chucks him in on the top rope, splash onto him, and everyone was like, oh, this is it, this is it, this is it. But I mean, Pac kicks out at like 1.9, but still, everyone was so heavy into that. So it was a good match. Tag team triple threat was just something so fun about it. You got Jurassic Express as the tag champs, who everyone was loving. You know, Luchasaurus, he's fun as hell. Jungle Boy as well is an absolute character in himself. Just, you know, whoa, gimmick, just beautiful. And then you got Red Dragon, who are sort of like, you know, the veterans in this with Kyle and Bobby, you know, off their NXT days, and everyone knows who they are. Get to be Red Dragon again, which is great. And the Bucks, you know, are the Bucks. Everyone loves the Bucks. I mean, I remember when I went to the Dark tapings there and to see the Bucks come out there, and that was something in themselves. Just to be so close to seeing the Bucks in action was another thing in itself, which I love. And going to that match, it was just so entertaining. Kyle was doing like kind of comedy spots as well, and that was fun. Jungle Boy was just kicking off on like 110 miles per hour. The Bucks were interacting with Red Dragon. I wish we got a feud out of that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, now in the future that I really want to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Jungle Boy, because I think those two individuals can put on some very, very fun, entertaining matches with their styles. And, you know, Jurassic Express would retain their titles, which was great to see because, you know, it was them just pretty much starting, you know, start the year off beating the Lucha Bros. So, yeah, my vote for this is definitely the Triple Threat Tag Team match at Revolution 2022 with the Bucks, Red Dragon, and Jurassic Express.
Interesting. What about you, Chaos? Where is your vote going to go for this match?
So, my thoughts on between these two. Now regarding Pac and Orange Cassidy, I don't know. For some reason, their feud just didn't really click for me as such. I just felt like my memories of their feud was more when they were in a multi-man type of scenario. Like I believe they were in a triple threat. It was Moxley, Pac, and Orange Cassidy. I think it was during the pandemic era, for the world title. And I thought that
was Omega.
Was it Omega? Sorry, Omega. Sorry. And I thought that their chemistry was just even way better than when they would do it going one-on-one. I have no recollection or much recollection of their feud leading into it or even during the matches. I just felt like when it was like either tag matches or, you know, like I said, for that triple threat match, I thought it was just, that was a true showing of what they can do together. So yeah, it's my pick is probably going to go not probably, it will go to the triple threat tag team title match, simply because you got to see the veterans, like you said, you got to see the Jungle Express and obviously the Young Bucks. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was when they debuted their move, which turned to be a finisher, where it was like with Jurassic Express, where they did the where Luchasaurus has a backdrop and then it eventually ends into a power bomb. I love that move, and I think they eventually turned it into a finisher. But yeah, the chemistry was great between them, and then it was great. So yeah, my pick is gonna go to the triple threat tag team match.
What about you, Coby?
So it looks like I'm kind of leaning away from the grain once again. The triple threat tag match, as much as it was fun and it was enjoyable, and I'm not going to say it wasn't a better match, I'm going to say this was just like, aside from the world tag titles, and there's a lot of reigns where almost the champions are out of place. And this was that match. This was Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus was in a match that was built upon the Young Bucks and a Red Dragon feud. This wasn't a feud based around the tag titles. This was a feud based around what was happening inside of the Undisputed Elite. At the end of the day, I think Pac and Orange Cassidy are two men who are going to be forever involved with each other. They're going to be entwined. We've seen them feud for the All-Atlantic title. We've seen them in that three-way with Omega. At the end of the day, I think this was really Orange Cassidy's coming out party and coming out match. There's a lot of people who was against him as, well, this is someone who is going to be against it. Or against it. There's the people who are like, well, this isn't sports like. I 100% agree. There were some aspects of Orange Cassidy I don't like, but at the end of the day, I'm on Team Pac OC.
Such
Wow,
negativeness.
okay. So now I have the deciding vote. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. It really was, and like I said earlier, Orange Cassidy broke out during this. He really, really did impress me. But despite how much I did enjoy the OC Pac match, I'm going to go with the triple threat tag. Because it was just an absolutely fantastic match. And I think if we're talking from an in-ring perspective, I think it was the better match. So I think we'll put that one forward into the semi-finals, which means our semi-final on this side of the bracket is between the Young Bucks and Omega Hangman against Red Dragon versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks win no matter what, but where's your vote going to go, Sol?
Right, because we've got, and I know what the matchup at the end is going to be. I'm going to make this real quick. I'm going with Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks. And, no offense to the triple threat tag team match, loved it. But I will go into full details about this match on the final because I got a lot to say about this.
Nice. I completely agree with you there. So it's 2 votes for that match. Do you disagree, Chaos?
No, not at all. I mean, the magnitude of the match was way bigger than the triple threat. So yeah, my pick will go to Young Bucks versus Hangman and Page and Omega.
What about you, Coby?
Please don't go against the grain.
No, there's no way I can with this one. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman is the better match, 100%.
Nice, easy semi-final there. And now we are on to the final. CM Punk versus MJF in the dog collar match, or the Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman.
Oh my God.
And I mean, some people might even say that these are the 2 best
AEW
matches to date, and also storylines, like you said, too, in AEW. So, take it away. Which one are you going to choose?
All right, let's do this series. Okay, let's start with Punk and MJF. The thing about these 2 matches we've got here is one's the start and one's the end of stories. MJF and Punk is the ending of a feud over Dynamite, and basically, MJF's whole thing of, you left me, put me in a dark place, and I became this evil demon because of your desire to leave. And, we got this whole build, and this match was a good blow-off to it. And then it also was a natural progression. Punk into the title and MJF versus Wardlow. And the match itself was great. This was a hard-hitting encounter between the 2 of pure, utter dedication and their very soul, Jiggy there, on the mat. They're fighting for, MJF is fighting for his past self of all the pain and suffering he's gone through, and Punk is fighting to prove himself that, it wasn't his fault. Max is just who he is because who he is. It wasn't Punk's influence that caused that. And, it was great as well, the calling commentary as well. And in the arena as well, that whole atmosphere, everyone was on their feet for this match. I mean, I remember after it ended, going to the merch table and to buy a t-shirt for it, and all the t-shirts were sold out because everyone was buying it for this match. I mean, honestly, I know people said this should have main evented. Could have main evented? Absolutely. The world title is more important. That should always main event a pay-per-view in my mind. And this match was just something else. It was also sort of like a proving point for Punk, right? People were like, oh, he's having single matches and he's taking his time and all that. But then to bring out a dog collar match, and it's like what Punk says about dog collar matches, his famous one in the past against Raven, you leave a piece of yourself in the ring after these kind of encounters. They're nasty, they're gruely, they're hard hitting. You're gonna get yourself screwed over. So it's great. But Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks was the beginning of my favorite storyline in wrestling, the whole Hangman anxiety storyline. You go into that match and you look at it like this. This was basically the kind of like the self-implosion of the Elite in a way. The Bucks were fighting with Hangman and Kenny. Kenny was wondering about Hangman because he was drinking more, and he was like, can I rely on this guy? You had, like, one of the matches before, Hangman would actually buckshot lariat Kenny and hit him down, and it was sort of this whole dividing thing. Like, is Hangman on the side of good? And in the match itself, there was great moments as well. Meltzer driver on the ramp. Hangman would hit his own one-winged angel. It would end with, Hangman hitting a buckshot lariat on Nick and getting the pin. And after it, that was when people were like, whoa, because Hangman gets to the ropes on the ramp and Kenny's celebrating the ring, and it looks like he's going for a lariat, right? He's going for the buckshot lariat to hit Kenny. And people are like, yeah, this is going to be, Hangman's going to turn into like the alcoholic, drunken, power-ridden cowboy, decimating everyone. But no, he lowers the rope and lets Kenny come through. And this would eventually lead on to a match that wouldn't happen because of the big cough of 2020. Blood and guts match against the Elite versus the Inner Circle didn't happen because there was a whole thing of like, Hangman, come to our side. But from this one match, we got a year's worth of story out of it. It would eventually lead into Kenny and Hangman dropping the titles to FTR, their whole blow up. They would have a winners coming. I think it was winner coming a full gear match for the qualifier for the championship. And Kenny would beat Hangman. Hangman would be in a depressive episode. He would then be joined up with the Dark Order, and Brody Lee would try and recruit him out of that. He would then feud with Matt Hardy for the money, then go into his championship opportunity and Dark Order leading it down the line. Kenny would do his whole belt collector stuff as well. And it would then lead to eventually a year later down the line of Hangman beating Kenny for the title at Full Gear. So not only is Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks one of the best matches in AEW, but I also think it's one of the most important matches in AEW, even above Hangman beating Kenny for the title at Full Gear. Because this was the best way to describe it, this was the light that lit the keg. This was the point of where everything went into overdrive and we had our path written for us. The path was paved from this match.
So your vote, Soul, is going to go Omega and Hangman versus Young Bucks, is it?
From this whole thing of rambling right here, you could pretty much guess now, unless I do a cheeky swerve and say, but again, no, this match is just so important for AEW that it has to win. I am going with this.
Nice. What about you, Coby?
I think this continues to boil down to which is each match being remembered as. CM Punk and MJF is being remembered as what is this as of right now, the final match of the two. They probably were going to have another if the Punk situation didn't happen. At the end of the day, the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman is more. I 100% agree with Soul. This is the more important match. This is being remembered as a match, and Punk and MJF is being remembered as a part of the big storyline that it was a part of. 100%, I have to go with the tag match from the first Revolution, Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Mr. Hangman Page.
And what about you then, Chaos? Where is your vote going?
Boy, you pretty much give me an idea, Soul. I think we might have to bring you on, take us to the table and talk about this, because I think you could have went on for a good 10 minutes, and rightly so. These two definitely warrant their place in the finals. But yeah, you gotta look at the bigger picture and what came of it. And in terms of true long-term storytelling, which we hadn't seen from the other company for a long while, you would probably have to go to the Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. Sure, MJF feud was good for was it 4 to 6 months? The Hangman Page feud or arc was going for a better part of a year, and it paid off evidently. So in terms of that match quality as well, and everything in between, my vote will have to go to Page Omega versus the Young Bucks.
And I'm going to absolutely agree with all of you. Like you just touched upon then, Chaos. This was really the first long, story we've seen in wrestling for quite a few years, because there wasn't really any going on in WWE, and AEW did it perfectly. The entire Hangman Anxiety storyline was phenomenal, and Soul, I think you are going to have to get into that in more detail. In fact, maybe even write a book on it, because you really did break it down then so well.
He took off his
But-
glasses. That's how you know he was serious.
Yes, exactly. when the glasses come off, you know so serious. But that is all we have time for today then, guys. So thank you for tuning in and watching this. And yeah, our favorite match from all the Revolutions is Hangman and Omega versus the Young Bucks from AEW Revolution 2020. But will any of this year's Revolution matches top it? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Chaos, Coby, and Soul for joining me here as well. We'll be back here tomorrow at the slightly later time of, 30 minutes later, 8:30 UK time. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching.
Peace.
Hey.